This isn't really going to be one of these typical responses or anything like that. It's not really a response, it's just me talking typically on my channel as I usually do. Now originally I had this idea that I didn't want to release this particular subject of a video until December, but a lot of things kind of came up, a lot of things have changed everything, and about apparently a month or 2 months from now I'm not going to be in this house anymore. And what the flying fuck was that? Anyway, because apparently the landlords decided that out of the blue they want to move back in, and so we have to move into another house, which we're trying to find. And anyway, we're going to just try to get into that. But the subject of this matter is actually something that's kind of a serious thing for me, because I've never really kind of talked about it, and I've done a little bit more of my research on some things. Now, when I first introduced the ThrashMetalGuru channel, I introduced a video which was regarding the topic of Thanatophobia, which is the fear of death, which is also technically in the same instance of fear of losing others in the process of death. I've talked about that subject, and it's the only phobia that I've really talked about. But during the course of years, as time began to develop over and throughout the course of the next 4 years, 5 years speaking, I discovered that I have more than just that one phobia. After doing research upon many things that I felt, the reactions that I have had from certain things in life, and from the thing that I actually have, which is almost as equivalent as the Thanatophobia. Pretty much 2 of those phobias almost top that list. And so I didn't want to talk about this until December. Now I'm just going to say this because I really just want to get this off my chest and really just go over that subject. Now, to certain people, if it makes you feel uncomfortable about what I'm going to say, I'm just going to say this once: please deal with it. Okay, this is just me trying to cover this topic and all that. It's nothing to make you uncomfortable. It's not anything to do with anything personally. No information I'm going to be talking about is going to be out to the public. It's only bits and pieces that kind of just Easter egg, that sort of thing. But so to get started, I wanted to actually start off with one that I've actually had for a very long time, which I was completely unaware of, but that feeling has gone it's not gone. It's gone into new places, and it's really gotten me to, into a very panicked mode, and it's like this every single day. So the fear for this one, of the fear of being forgotten or ignored. This to me is one of the most common phobias that I share as compared to some of the phobias that I'm about to read off. And so what that is that the fear of being forgotten or ignored is known as Athazagoraphobia. It's another thing that I have when I fear that I'm going to be forgotten or ignored. Now, I know there's a lot of people in my life that don't forget me and all that, and I do appreciate that. It's kind of me being paranoid in that sense, but there are times where people have just forgotten me or just didn't see me as anything more than just an acquaintance after some weird instance of just knowing me and then just saying, well, I don't really know you, so sorry, I don't really care about you. Well, okay. So, but to me that feeling is kind of personal, because I don't know, I have this metaphorical sense of putting my hands around people's necks. It's a metaphorical sense of being, I don't want people to leave me. I don't want people to leave my life, but that's the unfortunate side of life. People do leave, people come and go. But that's not me being pessimistic about it, but that's just the fact of how life is. You can't always keep people around you. Sometimes you have to keep progressing in life. Now, to me, it's a paranoia that I share amongst a lot of people, because I fear that's the way who I am, the way that I do things, the way of who I am really can kind of either annoy someone or just to a point where they probably don't want anything to do with me. And that's the sort of thing that I fear so much. It's kind of how I ask, why am I being so annoying all the time? And then having that sort of, what's that sort of thing? That sort of doubt or insecurity is that sort of thing, is that it really gets to me. So it leads to an insecurity. So Athazagoraphobia is pretty much me having that insecurity about annoying people, or basically being forgotten or ignored, mainly due to those stems or the roots of annoying people, or just being myself. And it's kind of hard. So the next one I wanted to kind of move on to, and this is going in alphabetical order, by the way. So we're going to move on to the next one. That's pretty much the same page. This one is actually a torn in between, because this is sort of the thing that I live with every day. It's called what is it called? It's called monophobia, the fear of solitude or being alone. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm used to this sort of thing every single day for being alone. Whether if I fly to Texas, if I go out into the city of Las Vegas, if I go wherever I wish to go, I will always live that kind of life. A solitude life. Yes, I'm hanging out with friends that I've seen before, but that is basically how my life is. Monophobia is the fear of being alone. Or having that solitude. That's solitude. When I go back home, despite the fact that no one lives back home anymore, and I still roam the streets of my own neighborhood alone and by myself, that is the solitude that I live in. But it sort of gives me that fear because I can't take back what's been gone. You know, I can't go back into the past. I can't go back and live there forever. You know, and all that other stuff. I mean, there's no changing the history. There's no changing the past. You can't do that. It's a selfish thing to do. But at the same time, I always fear that despite the fact that I'm so used to the fact of living alone, but I also fear of living alone for the rest of my life. Hence why it also comes back with the fear of being forgotten or the feeling of being ignored. That sort of fear kind of leads up to that point of living a solitude life. Too lonely so much, it can be depressing. So depressing it could even be suicidal. Now, I'm not saying that I am suicidal, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not saying that whatsoever. But I'm just saying those sort of things can kind of lead to that sort of area in particular. So monophobia is another one that I share amongst in that part, which kind of is the leading part from that other phobia that I just mentioned. Now, this one I can kind of... It's sort of there. This one is called Myctophobia, which is kind of the fear of darkness. Pretty much the basic... me kind of in the dark, kind of seeing things that aren't really there, that sort of thing. And it really gets me afraid, because there are times when you fall asleep, or when you wake up in the dark, you kind of feel like something is kind of lurking in the shadows there. You know, but it has a little bit more of that effect, because you do feel that something is going to get you. And it's a sort of thing. To me, it's pretty much just a very typical phobia, but it is something that does frighten me, because, I don't know, there's some times where I've had some sort of a strange experience while in bed before, and, you know, it feels like something gets you right there. Not particularly a scary point, but something that kind of makes you react. But we move on to the next one. Sorry, this thing's a pain in the butt. Okay, so, moving on to the other one. Phasmophobia, fear of ghosts. That's, I've never really experienced fears, of ghosts, so... Oh, gosh. It's on here. Okay, here we go. This one is pretty much the equivalent of the Thanatophobia one, because this one it doesn't top the list, it's equally on top of the list with Thanatophobia. This one is called Philophobia, the fear of falling in love or being in love. There's a strong effect when it comes to that sort of thing. Falling in love is a very strong thing. I used to believe falling in love is nothing more than an illusion, and holy crap, am I witnessing kind of like a shocker. Like, just basically when I was talking about that, instantly the light goes out. Talk about some symbolism. But while I'm getting that Buddha back up, Philophobia is just equivalent for me as the level of fear of Thanatophobia that I have, because basically falling in love is in fact a very powerful emotion, but too much of that can really give you it can give you so much of a fear and panic that you start having anxiety attacks. There was a time where like I said before in a video, that I had to respect the fact that a person who I loved very much was in a relationship. I didn't learn how to fall in love until that happened. I started having anxiety attacks. I started having so much of these times where I felt like I was going to have to be rushed to the hospital because of that sort of thing. And, falling in love, to me, I'm proud of the fact that I've fallen in love. That I've fallen in love. I'm sorry, my idiocracy is pretty much shining up to this point. That I'm happy and honored and proud to know that I can finally fall in love with someone, even if the person doesn't feel that way about me. I mean, platonically, yes. Romantically, no. But I used to think love was an illusion, but at the same time, falling in love for me can be just as scary, because you can go through that same sort of thing over and over again, and it hurts. It does. I'm afraid of that, and I don't want to kind of do that stuff all over again. But to me, that was just most of the equivalent to that one, because that's just the way how I felt about it, and that's just the sort of thing that, it really kind of topples over, and, you kind of feel like you don't want to move on from it. I still have feelings for that person, but, like I said, I don't project and shit like that, but that's just the sort of stuff that I wanted to kind of go over to that part, but I just wanted to kind of share that to let you guys know that I'm not, Thanatophobia is not the only phobia that I carry. I do believe I had one more. I'm not entirely sure. I think that was it. I may have skipped over one, but no, actually, I think that was it. That was pretty much my phobias. So there was like Philophobia, I think it was like Monophobia, Athazagoraphobia, and I believe there was Myctophobia. So pretty much those are the phobias I have that are just the equivalent as Thanatophobia. So that's pretty much what I have there. And to tell you the truth, does this make me weaker? Does this make me stronger? I don't know. Every single day I kind of deal with those phobias, because every single day I think about how much I can be a better person, to be selfless, and to be more, better. Now, in regards to that, because stress like that does happen, and some of those phobias do occur, and that causes stress. Sometimes at work, sometimes in other places, sometimes there. So, while we're on the subject, while we're transitioning here, there are channels that I do want to promote, that I do want to actually give more shout-outs to, because with such stress and such scares in places such as work and everywhere else, if it weren't for those types of things occurring in my life, I wouldn't have stumbled across some great people. Now, I don't expect them to watch this. I don't expect them to do anything at all. This is me showing my appreciation, and pretty much sincere in the most, humble way to express my gratitude to so many people. Stoutmeister, Official GATG, Some Guy 827, Undertaker Freak 1127, Watch Girls Play. Watch Girls Play, I'm going to tell you guys, when I was so stressed out, when I was dealing with so much crap, when I discovered Watch Girls Play, I felt like I was immediately in heaven. Aside from the obvious reason that, there were gals. But I kind of felt like there was some sort of, there was entertainment that they brought that just took all the worry off the mind. And that's what I loved about that. Especially from Dre. I love Dre. My favorite Watch Girl ever. But, it's those times and those people that really take the stress and worry off your mind. Same thing with my pal, Official GATG, Undertaker Freak 1127, Some Guy 827. I love those guys to death, and I love Watch Girls Play to death. Those gals are awesome. And, if it weren't for people like that, man, I pretty much would have turned out so much differently. That despite so much hardships, that there are people still out there, no matter how far they are, no matter how far east is from west, when you have some sort of phobias in your life that kind of give you that fear or that stress and that anxiety, those people are there for you. And those people are good people. And that's why I have to thank every single one of them. And there's a whole lot more people that I can thank too. So I just want to say this to Undertaker Freak 1127, Some Guy 827, Official GATG, and Watch Girls Play. Thank you all very much. And Drea. I'm going to say especially Drea, because I fucking love Drea. She's one of my favorite Watch Girls Play. My favorite Watch Girl gamer, I'll say that. Thank you very much. With the sincerity and the humbleness from my heart, I thank every one of you. So I'm ThrashMetalGuru. You guys have a very wonderful night. Stay safe. Never stop being you. And don't let the darkness of what just happened symbolize anything else. Have a good day.